Well, happy Thanksgiving. It would be cliche to give a little talk here about gratitude, and who would risk that? Well, I would, but I'm not going to talk about it from the normal perspective that I think people come by. I'm going to talk about it as really kind of the psychological superpower that it is, the virtue superpower that it is. So, what happens is most people confuse gratitude with um, just simply a feeling. Like I feel grateful. So on the days that I feel grateful, I am grateful. On the days that I don't feel grateful, I'm not grateful. But it's actually much more than that. It's an interesting thing about gratitude. And there's all sorts of studies to support this, by the way, from what happens when you deliberately write down the things in a gratitude journal that you do, which, by the way, just so you know, years ago, I would have rejected that as like hocus pocus, silly, soft, nonsensical stuff. But it is unbelievable. What I've learned, and this is the case, and I don't have time to get supportive on this with documentation, but I really should do that because it's important to know. But what happens is you build the virtue of gratitude. Now, I wouldn't consider gratitude to be the type of virtue at the level of prudence, okay, or justice, or fortitude, or temperance, because those actually lead to gratitude. You have to make the right decision, okay, and understand fairness, okay. It's like when my little brother and I were young, my dad got him a new BMX bike, but he didn't like the kind. He was expecting a different one, so he said to my dad, "I got ripped off." My dad didn't handle my dad handled that perfectly. He said, "Okay." He took the bike, he hung it on top of the garage, and said, "Then you don't get a bike. If you think getting a new bike is somehow getting ripped off, you don't get it." Why? Because there's no justice in the comment of my brother. Here, his father gets him something good, and he rejects it, which is not fair to my father. Well, if you think about it, there's so many things that are provided to us in life by others, but also by God. And it's just to be grateful and to give praise for those sorts of things. But it requires a decision to actually pursue what is good. This is what prudence is about. So what are we doing here? Well, we're basically saying, I am going to act grateful, even if I don't feel it. I'm going to intellectually write down the things that I should be grateful for, even if I'm not feeling them. For a meal today, for shelter, for what of my health is good, even if some of it isn't good. For your ability to have your faculties in order to recover if you have a financial crisis or a relationship challenge. The idea that there's another day. There's so many different things that you can be grateful for. It can come down to something as simple as the beauty of the colors around you. The fact that you may have freedom right now. And if your freedom is restricted, that you have at least a minor bit of freedom. And if that's all restricted, that you have the freedom of thought. Very difficult to do these things, by the way. In the midst of things that upset us or bother us or make us whiny and crabby, myself included, by the way, when we don't get the things we want or get them our way. And by the way, there's a part of that before it becomes problematic, which makes us dissatisfied and want to improve. That's a good thing. But if it gets to this point where it's a lack of gratitude, we become prisoners to that lack of gratitude. So it's very important to know that you can actually develop the muscle of gratitude, and you must if you want happiness. There is no such thing as satisfaction or happiness anywhere in your life, financially, physically, in a relationship, with any job that you have, whatever car you drive. You're going to want something better. If you don't experience gratitude, you can't live in that moment and joy now. But it's not easy to do. I should say this. It's not easy conceptually to do, but it is practically to do. You will build the muscle of gratitude by repeating things you're grateful for. See, as a Catholic, I have this great advantage. When you go to confession, you do this thing called the act of contrition, or Lord, God, I'm heartily sorry for having offended you. Okay, and you go on to explain to God that you're sorry, not just because of the possibility of the pains of hell, but because God, who is worthy of all good praise and good things, would be offended. Well, really, how many people actually truly believe that? And if they did, I mean, to their core, right? They felt that emotionally. They might intellectually say it, but the church has always taught us that We repeat these things to become these things in the way that we worship God. When we say, I love you perfectly and above all things. Yeah, right. That's why you're going to go back and you're going to spend money on things that you shouldn't while you're, worshiping yourself or a position or a person around you. But the more you do this, because you're basically saying, I have a desire to feel this way. Therefore, I will pray this way. So through your grace, I will have that. Well, on a natural level, that happens with gratitude. The more that we actually repeat the things that we are grateful for, the more we actually become grateful for them until we find our attitude lifting. In fact, it's very much like the flu going away, where you start feeling just a little bit better and then better and better, and you can't even remember what it was like to feel bad. That happens when you become grateful. So go for it. Happy Thanksgiving.